Welcome to the Living Intentionally YouTube page. I am your life coach, Marsha McCray. Thank you for joining me today. And before we proceed, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Please hit the subscribe button. That will increase the numbers for me with this Living Intentionally YouTube page. Hit the bell so you can be notified for new uploads. And lastly, please like this video. That lets me know that you were present, and I pray that you learned something, and I've encouraged you to live with intention. As your Living Intentionally coach, my goal is to give you micro lessons. That's short messages. It's not an hour long, so your micro lesson should be about 10 to 15 minutes long max. And my prayer is that it does encourage you to live with intentions, help you make better decisions, and the lessons facilitate your life in some way. If you need to contact me because I read each and every email, you can do so. My email address is livingintentionallycoach@gmail.com. My websites are marshamccray.com and bookmarshamccray.com. Now, with that said, we got everything, the formalities out of the way. Let's go into our micro lesson for today. And that is, when it's time for you to move, everything will become difficult. In the year of 1997, I experienced a very aggressive work environment. I was comfortable. I was comfortable in the city of Tallahassee, where I went to college. I was living as a glorified college student. I had a job that did not pay much, but it satisfied, my living expenses. And I was there, and I had not yet determined where I was going to live permanently, like around the U.S. I didn't know if I was going to return home or go to other places. But I was working in my field at that time, and I was in a very aggressive, bullying almost atmosphere at work. And I was so comfortable where I was. Tallahassee is a very fun place to be. I love going back there. Homecoming is like none other. But I had a situation that was so mean and so aggressive verbally that I was heartbroken. And I realized that my time there was up. Now, I knew I was supposed to leave earlier than that. I knew I should have left months before, but I was just so comfortable where I was. It was really no traffic, no freeway. It was easy to get to. My friends were there. It was just great. It was centrally located to where I wanted to go to. I lived for the weekends, but I was stagnant there. I was not pushed. I was not stretched. And when you stay where you are longer than you should be, I tell you, life will get hard, and it will get hard fast. It will get hard to a point where you will have to make a decision that do you stay or do you go? Now, if you stay, things can continue to get hard, or actually the difficulties may stop altogether, but you won't grow as a person. You'll find yourself stuck with a groundhog's day of every day, just getting up, working, paying bills, dying, and so on. That's what life will end up being. You probably will not end up being stretched in a real capacity or even living up to your full potential. So after I had this very aggressive verbal experience from someone that I really looked up to, after that happened, I remember going to a room and I wept. And I'm not a crier. It takes a lot to get a tear out of this girl. But I cried and I cried. And it wasn't because of the words that were said. It was because who said it. And it wasn't because that there was aggression. It was who the aggression came from. And I knew my time there was done. Now, it's not that I'm like, hey, I quit, I'm leaving. No, I knew that I needed to fulfill my obligation there. But I would not be there for a following session. I would not be there for a following year. And I didn't know where I was going to go. But I knew I had to go somewhere. And no sooner than that, I got a phone call from a friend of a friend of a friend. And to this day, I don't know her name. That conversation would change my life in its entirety. Not only would it change my life, but it would change the life of my mother and my family. Because of that phone call, she says, Marcia, they are hiring on a particular day in a particular field. And she says, I think this is for you. And I'm thinking, no, I just went to school for 4 years to do something totally different. I don't think I'm going to go into that field. But then something else happened. Another heartbreak in a sense. And that was almost the confirmation that I had to go any place but here. And I went to the job interview and I got the job that day. And people were asked me, Marcia, how did you just get up and move at that time? And my words were, when it's for you, God will make it happen, and He will make it happen for you effortlessly. And that's what happened. It was effortless on a career that would change the trajectory of my entire life. I'm so grateful. And if I can ever find the young lady that talked to me and gave me this direction, I really want to thank her. But I told you that story to say this. For you, the listener, I gave you a transparent moment because I want you to know that I, like you, can relate. I want you to know that when things are getting difficult for you, you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay. Maybe perhaps that difficult moment is something to push you in a different direction. Regardless of what you went to school for, regardless of what you thought you were going to do, when things become so difficult for you, when you have outgrown where you are, you must exit the place. You must leave and go into a different direction. You must go forth. You must go forth and be who and what you were created to be. Are you going to have everything figured out? Absolutely not. If we had everything figured out already, we would not have any reason to have any faith. If we had everything figured out already, we would really think it was our own doing that got us to where we are. You wouldn't think that there was a hand, God had His hand on your life, or He had angels guiding you in different directions. You would take the complete all credit for this. Just know that when you have outgrown your space, you have to go. And if you don't, everything around you will become difficult. It will become difficult to move and almost difficult to breathe. And I know no one really wants change. No one wants to leave a familiar, comfortable environment that they've almost perfected. But in many cases, you have to. You can't get to where you're supposed to be. You're not going to be able to live your complete fulfillment for your life where you are. You're bigger than where you are. You are there's an enormous spirit or enormous personality that is too big for where you are. Perhaps you have dreams to be a designer, but the small town that you are cannot get past Kmart's fashion. You're too big for where you are. Perhaps you're a singer and the town that you're in, the location that you're in, don't want to hear what you got to say or sing. You're too big for where you are. Perhaps you're a reader, an avid educator, someone who studies, and people are just stuck in their ways where they are. You may be too big for where you are, and that's okay because the world is such a big place. Don't limit yourself to the town or the city or the area code or the time zone that you're in. You're bigger than that. And God has so much in store for you if you would just leave. Don't be afraid to leave. Put a plan in place. Make sure you have certain things in order and go. It is perfectly okay to go. Because I left, everything changed. Everything. I would not be sitting here before you right now. I don't even know what I would be doing, but I know it wouldn't be anything as fulfilling as this. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's the end of this micro lesson. Don't be afraid to leave. Don't be afraid to leave. You have outgrown where you are. And if you relate to this message, then this message is specifically for you. That's the message of today. That's the micro lesson. I'm Marsha McCray, your Living Intentionally coach. Thank you for subscribing to the Living Intentionally YouTube page. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe right now. Please hit the bell. That will give you notification for future uploads. And like this video. I need to know that you're present. I need to know that these prayers have not fallen on deaf ears. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to talk to you again. Until the next time, God bless you. Shalom.